Okay, I'm going to give a really quick tour here of the software that I've been writing to help facilitate my trading. Here on the left side, I've got basically your standard candlestick chart. Very light on the indicators. I've got the VWAP here, and then two lines here that basically show me where the highest volume and second highest volume was at price. Below here is just basically the volume per candle, and then here I just use the RSI 14 as kind of like the momentum indicator, and I'll explain how these signals get generated and what they mean in probably another video. Now, the reason why I wrote this really is to the right. What I wanted to be able to do is really get the volume profile, be able to kind of look into these candles. So if I click on this one, for example, I get the breakdown of exactly where the volume is occurring within this candle. So you can see here, these are the volume bars. I got a little bit of a graphic here. These are the actual numbers. And this is telling me exactly how these were executed at the bid or the ask. So here's the bid, here's the ask, and then these are the total volumes at the bid and ask. So I want to basically know when the sellers are getting aggressive or when the buyers are getting aggressive, and the number here is the delta. So basically, in this case, there was more buyers or more people willing to hit the ask versus the bid. Down here is basically the cumulative of every single candle. So I can get granular at one candle at a time. These are 3-minute candles, by the way, and then I want to see the entire volume profile. The whole cumulative, that is. And so I really refer to this throughout the day. And as you can see here, what I've done is I'm started to include the market profile, and I'm putting in basically what are known as the time price opportunities here in this column. And as you can see, the market opens up, and it basically creates a high parameter here and a low parameter here. And throughout the entire session, it basically rotates and finds value, in the middle of it. So you can see here the fairest price, as the way the market profile handbook calls it, would be right here. So the market basically rotated the most at this 2186 level, which is right about there. So if we draw a line in there and we kind of look at it, you can tell, it's basically just kind of balanced and rotating around that area. So down here, this is the bid and ask ladder. So this is basically looking at this chart, but looking at basically at every single price point what the bid and ask was and the delta. So this is another way of looking at things. And as you can see here, as this move happened, right, you can see a lot of selling came in, but the selling was it was absorbed, and then there was another leg, and then we kind of peaked out here, and the selling started to come in here, and as you can see, when it hit a lower high, you can just see that these numbers are significantly falling in comparison to when this thing started to peak out. And so it's basically, the selling comes in, and it pretty much pulls back and drops off here. So this is another area that I've been working on and referencing. But for the most part, what I want to do is really focus in on more of the volume profiling and the market profiling, because I really believe that this really helps out my trading. As you can see, for example, and as you look at these more and more, you can just at first glance get the picture of what's going on. So you can see here that the rotations were getting lower in the B period and in the C period and the D period, right? And then it eventually kind of cracks that support. I like to get short right here. I'm sorry, right here. This is what I would specifically look for, this after right or after 10 o'clock, I wait for this kind of a move, and then I like to get a short here, cover some when it hits the VWAP, and then cover the rest of it when it goes under the VWAP and that sort of thing. So that's kind of a day trade setup. But you know, getting into the market profile, I'm trying to expand more of the long-term projection. And on that note, one real quick thing is, so in part 3 or part 2 of the handbook, or even part 1, they tell you how to basically see where long-term traders are more active during the day. And so, for example, here the fairest price, the price that time spent the most time, or sorry, price spent the most time, was right here, right? And so right now I'm just printing this out in the console, but this will go ahead and count all the TPOs to the top and to the bottom, minus the single prints. These are basically rejected, so we don't count these. Only double prints and more get counted. And so as you can see here, it says activity above fair price is 128. Activity below fair price is 105. So this is basically saying that the longer term trader was more active, selling in the value area. And so this is just one of the components that I'm just continuing to build off of using the market profile. So that's pretty much it. I'll probably create some other videos, get more detail about like what these numbers mean and how I interpret them and why they're color coded here and so on and so forth.